Hey guys, and welcome to the Hobby News. Alright, well, we've got some Christmas specials coming in hot from old G-Dubs, so that's nice. They usually do that each year, and we'll take a look at some of the boxes. Now, it's unsure like how good value these are going to be. I'm not quite sure. You know, in recent years, the price for all this stuff has gone up quite considerably, especially if you're in Australia or New Zealand, in which case most of these boxes probably won't be that much good value, but there might be one or two in there that actually gives you a discount. If you get it from a stockist or something, there might be a good deal there, but I'm not quite sure. But we're going to go through it and have a look, and then we'll check out the previews for the Sunday previews for next week's pre-orders, which are looking like some good Cadian stuff there, so we'll take a look at that as well. And there's a Christmas mini too, which we'll take a look at, which they do every year. This time it's not the Gobbo, but we've got a different entrant into the Christmas special, so that's cool. And another thing which is kind of cool, but you know, I guess only for me, I don't know if anyone else cares, but this is my 100th news vid that I've done for the channel, which is pretty amazing. So it's pretty fun to have gone down that road and actually make it to 100 videos. That's pretty cool for these news vids. So I'm keen to keep going. It's fun to, you know, commentate on the hobby that you love and talk about these products, and not just with GW, but other companies' ones as well, including my own. You know, which you can check in the down there, blightedgods.com/net, or no, blightedgods.net/store if you want to check out my any of my products or whatever. But yeah, the link's in the down there. But otherwise, yeah, really cool. So let's get into this. So treat yourself this Christmas with the choice of 7 Warhammer Age of Sigmar Battle Forces. Yep. So we've got you know, a pretty good range. Some of these are obviously better than others. You know, it's a shame that Cruel Boys don't really quite have the strength in terms of competitive play to make this box set, you know, more juicy, but they are a great bunch of models. So if you are into Cruel Boys, this isn't a bad box to go for. And there's a few others in here that aren't bad. The Sylvaneth one is pretty good. Even the Gloomspike Gitz one is nice. Yeah, there's a few in here that aren't too bad. The Stormcast one, unfortunately, doesn't have the units that you would want. It has some of, or at least one unit that you would want, maybe two, but the rest aren't quite what you would want. I think, you know, generally speaking, the other units don't quite have the competitive edge that they need to be useful. So that's probably not the best one, but there's a few in here. We'll go through and take a look anyway. So we've got the Daughters of Cain, and this isn't too bad. However, I think these days most competitive lists, or people that are playing with a more competitive edge, probably want more of the bow snakes and less of the other stuff. So, you know, I don't know how good this box is for Daughters of Cain, but it's probably not going to be that enticing to many players. Maybe some. Like if you're just adding to a collection, this is pretty good, but likely if you're doing Daughters, then you probably have most of these units anyway. So I don't know how good this one is for Daughters players, but you could tell me in the comments if you think that it's good. I'm not quite sure. Again, price-wise, it's probably going to be quite expensive if you're, you know, on this side of the world. If you're on the other side, maybe you might be able to pick it up for a decent price and get a bit of a discount. Who knows? So yeah, not too bad. But then we've got the Cruel Boys one here. Now I do like this. Like Cruel Boys are growing on me. Originally, I was kind of on the fence about them. I like the sculpts, but the Lord of the Rings aesthetic wasn't doing it for me particularly. But since then, I've grown to, you know, enjoy them as more people have been doing different alternative paint schemes on them and so on. I've seen some really nice ones out there, and it's definitely, you know, endeared me more towards them than before. For my own sets of Cruel Boys that I had from Dominion boxes, I've given to my bro, and he's now playing Cruel Boys, and you know, he's been coming along to the gaming group that I'm a part of. For those that have been listening to the videos, they'll know about that. And you know, I've been starting to play a lot of different games, so you'll see some videos on some other game systems coming up. But yeah, he's been playing Cruel Boys, and yeah, it's been fun. It's been good taking him, getting him back into the hobby. Like me, he used to work for the company a long time ago, and yeah, it's been an interesting ride. You know, inducting him back into it, but he understands that Cruel Boys are in a bit of a bad shape, but they are cool models, and they do have some fun rules. If you're good at synergizing all those things together, and you can actually pull it off. They do have some powerful moves inside of that book, but it requires a lot of finesse to get it right. So this is cool box. If you're into Kruleboyz, I would probably consider this, because there are some fun models in here. And, the Snatcher boss at the back here, that's a good one. The Bolt Boys, obviously. There are some elements in here. Even the Vulture, if you want to use him, he's not too bad. So all in all, this box does actually have units that you would play on the tabletop, which is really good, because not all of them have that, right? Not all of them have good choices inside of them. So yeah, that's not too bad. Then we've got the Gloomspite Gets. Now, this is obviously, I mean, who doesn't like Gobbos, really, right? So if I was going to do a destruction army, it would be Gloomspite Gets. I've got them earmarked in for anyone that enjoys any of my painting videos. Gloomspite will eventually be appearing on the channel. I've been slowly working out color schemes and ideas for what I would do with them, and the sort of thing that I would go for, because they are really fun. It's one of those armies that, regardless of how well they perform in the game, they're just always fun to paint, model, the hobby-wise, and gaming-wise, they're always fun. They have, better and worse rules over different systems, like, Gobbos always end up... It's a difficult army to make. They either like overdo it and make them quite competitive for a while, or they really nerf them back and they end up being at the bottom end. It's one of those things with horde armies. It's kind of hard to balance them a bit, I think. So you can see that with Beasts of Chaos at the moment. They're just through the roof right now. But in the past they've been at the bottom of the list, right? So it's one of those things. But yeah, this box is pretty cool. If I was wanting to do it right now, I'd probably pick this up. So that's cool. And then we got Skaven, good old Skaven. Now, unfortunately for Skaven, they don't have any new models really. They've got some new stuff, but it's not a lot. It's a shame they didn't update their basic kit. That would make, if they had a new kit inside of here, that would make this a really hot piece of property for this Christmas, and it would sell out very, very quickly, right? But unfortunately, Skaven don't yet have an update. I would assume coming into next edition, they're probably earmarked for it. As we all know, these things get done in advance. So right now, the next edition of AOS is either already made, or the books are already starting to be produced, etc. Usually a couple of years out. So that's usually what happens. And I would imagine that Skaven are gonna see a new kit at some point. I'd be shocked if the next edition they didn't have a new kit. It would be sort of very strange that they wouldn't do that. They've already gone back now and redone the Chaos Warriors and various other old kits. Things like Skaven, the Seraphim range, the Lizardmen, and probably even the Gloomspite Gets, the basic Gobbo models possibly need an update too. There's a few kits like that are very, based in the fantasy style, which are very regimented sort of looking models, which are great for rank and file games, but not in a game where everything's on a round base and in a skirmish kind of formation. You want more dynamism, more interest in each of the models. So, updating that would be a really nice thing. But we'll see what happens. But this is actually not a bad kit for anyone that's getting into Skaven, because it does have the Clan Pestilence stuff at the back there. You've got the Fiends, which are really good. Bell is a great model, but kind of, it's good and bad. Like it's more the sort of like the fun thing you take if you really love Skaven, I guess. But this does have some nice units in it, and units that you would actually use in a more competitive list. So that's a nice box. And then we've got Nighthaunt. So Nighthaunt right now have a really interesting book, and it's a lot of fun to use if you like death. And I can see this, being added to any Nighthaunt army. There are some units in here that you would take, and there are other flavor choices that may not see in every list, but certainly, there is pretty much everything in here, I'm pretty sure, can fit into more competitive lists if you're into that. And just from a hobby point of view, some of these models in this kit are just beautiful, right? They're just great to paint. So from both point of views, hobby and gameplay, I think that the Nighthaunt one's not a bad one if you're into that. So that's cool. That's like a decent box. And then we've got the Sylvaneth, which I think is probably, maybe it's the better one out of the lot. I'm not quite sure, but I feel like it is. Everything in here has a place and probably you would use. I'm not sure about the basic troop unit down here. I don't know whether they're used in as many lists, but certainly all the stuff at the back here, that's all certainly used in a lot of lists. So yeah, I think the Sylvaneth one's not too bad. And then we come down to the Stormcast. So Stormcast, unfortunately, I don't feel like is the one you would pick if you were doing Stormcast. fast. It's got the dragons, which are important. You need those, and even the annihilators with the double-handed weapons are good. But everything else in here, unfortunately, suffers from the new model syndrome and doesn't quite have the rules that it needs to be effective. You know, the character's the wrong one. You don't want this one. You want the Lord Teleporter. If he was in here, that would be much better. You know, there's a few things here that need to be swapped around to make this an effective box. Even just having Vindictors in here instead of these units would be better. Yeah, there's a few things about this box that aren't quite there, but, you know, I understand why they're pushing it. It's the new models, and they are beautiful. They are very, very satisfying to paint. All of them are. You will have seen on my channel, if you've been watching any of my videos, I've got a whole range of Stormcast videos on a custom scheme, and, you know, I've been painting many thousands of points of them now, and they're still really fun to paint. And, you know, so if you are into these, they are actually a real joy from a hobby point of view. Gaming wise, as I said, unfortunately, some of these units do suffer a bit, so you wouldn't probably play most of them, except for the dragons and the annihilators at the back. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not the best box, but they are really beautiful models, and they are definitely satisfying if you're into that. So yeah, this is not a bad showing for this Christmas. Yeah, as I said, a few things maybe not quite hitting the mark, but overall, it's not a bad one for AOS. So let's take a look at 40K now and see what they've got. So for them, we've got a quite interesting mix here. Now, I'm not sure. Some of these I really like, and some of these are, you know, okay, but still pretty decent. I think maybe on the whole, the 40K ones are probably better packed with things you'll use on a gaming side of things than the AOS ones. The AOS ones are a little bit more mixed, but I think these mostly are ones that you will probably use. So we'll come down and have a look. So we've got the Sisters of Battle here, the Adeptus Sororitas, and you know, everything in here is definitely going to be used. The leader here, she's you know, awesome. I'm pretty sure she's still awesome. I don't follow the updates as much on 40K, but when the Sisters were released, this special character here, what's her name, Morven Vale or whatever, she was really good on release, so I'm pretty sure she still is, unless she's been nerfed into the ground, but she's still good. These walker suits are good, and so on. So everything in here is a pretty good deal if you're into Sisters, so that's not a bad one. I think that's pretty cool. And this one caught my eye. As anyone who's been following my channel for a while will know, I've been dabbling at a little bit of the old Adeptus Custodes and on a custom scheme, and this box kind of caught my eye. So that's one that I would even consider, I think, because it's got mostly everything that you would want. I can't see anything in here that you wouldn't really want. It's got most of the things for both competitive and hobby. I've got a few of these units, so I don't know if I would pick this up this year, but it is definitely something that caught my eye. This isn't a bad one if you're into Custodes, I think. But anyway, it's got the bikes which you want. They're awesome, just from both hobby and gaming point of view. Yeah, it's not a bad one. It's not a bad one. And then this one too, the Adeptus Mechanicus, is not too bad. This also caught my eye. It's got certainly units that you would use. A lot of, pretty much sure everything in here you would probably use. Maybe this little character here, possibly not. But you know, all of these units are all useful in various types of lists. So I can't see why you wouldn't. So that one also caught my eye. That's decent. And again, I'm not sure about cost and value in cost. That's going to be something that's going to come down per country, I guess, like where you're living and what the price is there. But you know, from just the unit point of view, it's nice. And then we've got the Knights. Now the Knights, I'm not quite sure how good value this is, but it's a nice box, right? It's Knights. You've got the small ones, you've got the big one. There's tons of conversion possibilities. There's a lot of third-party vendors that do a lot of upgrade kits for Knights, which is great. So you've got a huge range of things that you can do with these, you know, both from hobby and gaming. You know, it's a cool box. So if you're into Knights, I can't see why this one wouldn't be a cool one for you. So yeah, and then we've got Death Guard, my good old faithful Nurgle. Now this one's not bad. You know, it's got the Terminators. It's got that new HQ choice, which isn't that bad. It's an okay choice. It does have the most beautiful model in the Death Card range, old Mortarion. You know, and it's got Plague Bearer. You know, your Death Guard troops, your Plague Marines, which unfortunately always suffer from the thing that most, you know, armies in 40K do, which is the troop choice is always the worst performing unit, and you always take them in minimum sizes. It'd be lovely if they could figure out a way to make these Plague Marines better. They aren't bad, but they aren't also that good. The Terminators are just so much more efficient and you know, just perform much better for you in game. So yeah, but it is a nice box. You know, if I didn't already have most of this, I probably would buy it. that because it's a great one. Most of it here you're going to use in some list, in some variety. Not so much the Plague Marines, but they're still beautiful models. They're some of the most beautiful models that they make in 40k, at least from my opinion. And I had a lot of fun painting them. They're great. So yeah, not too bad there. And then we've got the Thousand Sun ones. Now I'm not quite sure. I guess this isn't bad. I think I would have liked to have seen the Terminators in here. That'd be really cool, much like the Death Guard one has. But again, for Thousand Sun players, I'd say this is pretty good. It would have been nice to see one of the new models in here. I think that would have been cool. I think these are all old models, but still not a bad choice for Thousand Suns if you're into that. And then we've got these I guess, battle forces or strike force boxes that come for 2 of these Space Marine ones. Now, I'm not quite sure about these. These don't impress me as much. For some people, they might find these better. I don't know, but these seem the least interesting out of the boxes, to be honest. But they are cool. Like if you're into those particular Space Marine chapters, then you will get some use out of these. But I feel like they're sort of the least interesting out of the lot. The other ones all feel a bit more, I guess, the sorts of units you're probably going to use, and these ones kind of feel like that. I don't know how good these boxes are, but then again, Space Marines get new codexes all the time, so who knows, maybe these units will end up being useful at some point. But yeah, probably the least ones from my point of view that I like out of these. But otherwise, yeah, not a bad offering for 40k for this Christmas. It's pretty cool. So now, talking of Christmas, I guess we should move on to that Sunday preview and take a look at the Cadians and the new Christmas mini. So we've got with the release of the Cadian thing, we've got their I guess their FOMO box or their pre-release box, which comes with the codex, some units, etc. All the things that you want, the heavy weapon teams, the new Sentinel. It's pretty good. The command squad, which we've already gone through and looked at, so I won't spend too much time on this. But yeah, they're a beautiful bunch of models. From the looks of it, they're actually a little bit taller than the old ones. I've seen a lot of comparisons on Instagram and so on, and they do seem like they're a bigger model, which is interesting. So they're upping the size, which isn't bad. I don't mind that. That's cool. I'm getting old, so my eyes don't see so well. So having bigger models is always good for me. But it means integrating them into your old models is going to be a bit of a pain. But I still feel like that's probably a good choice overall over the long term. So it's not a bad box. So if we come down here, and yeah, then we've got the Christmas mini. So this one's a cool one. It's meant to be based, I think, on something that they did ages ago. I seem to remember back in the ye old time, they used to do a bunch of orc rockers with guitars and all that stuff. I remember that. I can't remember what their names were now, but this is, I think, what it's referencing. And yeah, it's just a fun model, right? If you're into their Christmas minis, I can't see why you wouldn't like this one. It's super fun. He's going to have rules, so you can play like fun games with him with the Goff Rocker. Yeah, it's just a fun model for Christmas, right? It's a cool idea. I've done one of these things for my own brand. I did a Christmas zombie bust a couple of years ago now, but they're always fun. Just doing something Christmassy and putting it out there is always a cool thing when you're someone that makes minis, whether you're a big company like Games Workshop or just an individual creator like myself or whoever. Christmas minis are always fun to do. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm sure many people will pick this up. So you'll be able to get him in the stores as well as online. So that's pretty good. So the Goff Rocker is available for pre-order from Saturday and will be on the shelf from the following Saturday. So yeah, in like 2 weeks, I guess he'll be able to purchase from a store. So that's not too bad. So yeah, pretty fun. So I think that's pretty much it. We've got some Forge World offerings here for the other game systems and the books as usual, which is all good. But I think we'll leave it on the Christmas mini, because that's pretty fun. You can do a nice fun paint job on this. It'd be pretty cool, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please hit that like button, subscribe button. It really helps me out. And I guess I'll catch you on the next one.